front seat of the AirCam gives the pilot an incredible view. It's really like a magic carpet ride. When you're sitting in the front seat, your head is almost 4 feet ahead of the wing, so you don't have the disadvantages of a high wing or a low wing airplane. You have the advantages of both, and the view is absolutely spectacular. Now, you couple that with being able to fly low over the best terrain, which is usually unlandable, and not have to worry about an engine failure because you've got totally redundant systems. And an airplane, it's easy to fly on one engine, and you have a very relaxing experience, which is really not like any other airplane can offer. Even terrain that you would think would be fairly uninteresting to fly over low, once you get down low at about 60 miles an hour, could become very, very interesting. Wheat fields, for example, that from 3,000 feet and up look pretty blah and bland. When you get right down low, they come alive. You see colors, you see texture, you see all kinds of different details that make it such an interesting experience that you wouldn't get from a conventional airplane flying up high. I think some of the most exciting flying that I have done yet was out in southeastern Utah, flying with 3 AirCams. And in that case, we were flying over terrain that certainly would be spectacular even when viewed from high altitude. But when you go down low and you're flying next to the buttes instead of over them, you're flying down over a flat plateau which opens up into a canyon. And when you come off the edge of that cliff face and go from being 10 feet off the ground to being 500 or 1,000 feet off the ground, what a spectacular feeling that is. It's really not like anything else that I can compare it with. Another aspect of the AirCam that is really interesting and different from flying in an enclosed cockpit is formation flying. Whether you're flying with Hawks and Eagles or flying with other AirCams, the fact that you're right out in the open and you can see them, I think it really compares somewhat with riding together with a couple motorcycles right out in the open on the highway. To be right out in the open and look out and point at that other airplane right out there next to you, it's pretty cool. All the twin-engine float planes that I knew of didn't perform well on one engine. And the whole idea of the AirCam was to have good single-engine performance. That's the primary goal. When flying one of our customers' airplanes on aluminum amphibious floats, Murphy floats, the real test was we shut one engine off, and I said to Richard, you know, let's just see what happens with one engine. We had a little bit of a crosswind, which helped us, but without water rudders, we were actually able to get the airplane up on the step, accelerate to liftoff speed, lift one float, lift off the water, and then climb out of ground effect. And the day we did that, I realized that even on floats, the AirCam was a viable single-engine airplane. We placed the engines as close together as possible. Combined with the large vertical stabilizer and the positioning of the engines, the airplane is very easy to fly on one engine. Although we don't recommend it, the AirCam can actually take off on one engine. And that's a true test of a twin-engine airplane. We've demonstrated takeoffs and landings at maximum gross weight on one engine, climbing out of ground effect and actually flying around the pattern. The engine package on the AirCam is totally redundant. You really do have 2 of everything. The engines, the propellers, the gearboxes, the fuel tanks are all separate. And you even have an electric backup fuel pump in addition to the mechanical pump that is separate on each engine. With the 2 100 horsepower 912S engines, we really have a lot more thrust than you could get out of one 200 horsepower engine. Those two separate propellers and separate gearboxes actually make a lot of static thrust, and that really translates into incredible twin engine performance. The angle of climb you can achieve, the ability to recover from stalls in an instant, and the fact that you can accelerate on the runway from 0 to about 40 miles an hour in 2 to 3 seconds makes it pretty exciting to fly. Even though the AirCam can fly at 100 miles per hour, for example, I find that I spend most of my time in an AirCam flying at the lower end of its speed range, down between 50 and 60 miles per hour, where it's also very comfortable. Some of the flying that we like to do, probably some of the most exciting flying I've ever done in an AirCam, was flying down in a canyon. Of course, before we did that, we overflew the canyon and made sure that the route we were going to take was safe and that there were no obstructions. But diving down into the canyon and flying and twisting and weaving down there, you need an airplane that's very maneuverable, and you need to be able to fly at a slow speed because you can't make those turns if you're going too fast. Well, the AirCam is capable of flying at 60 miles per hour and maneuvering tightly. It has enough wing area to where it's very comfortable at that kind of speed. So really, it's just, when you're trying to fly in a tight space at low speed and maneuver, it's just perfect for that. Part of what makes the AirCam experience so unique is the fact that you are right out in the open. You can feel the air. You can smell the orange blossoms as you fly over the orange groves. You can smell the fresh water as you fly over a lake. And it really enhances the total experience. In this video, we've tried to show you what it's like flying an AirCam, and I think you can get a good idea, but it's still not the same as actually being in the airplane, because it's not like anything else you've ever done.